Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Beauty Wednesday today. So, how do you find your perfect foundation tone, your perfect foundation shade? In this video, I'm going to share tips and tricks that will make this not a struggle for you anymore. If this is an area that you struggle in, like I did for a very long time, my hope is that by the end of this video, you don't struggle anymore. I'm going to share tips and tricks that would make it easy for you to find your foundation tone or your match every single time you go looking yourself. And these tips and tricks will also keep you alert and help you know when someone at the store or anywhere is trying to sell something to you that is not quite your match. Okay, let's go. So first things first, know your undertone. What is undertone? Undertone is a subtle natural color below your skin surface, okay? So it's just basically a color that your skin reflects or bounces off sometimes, depending on certain factors. There are four main undertones. There's warm, there's cool, there's neutral, and there's olive. Again, there's warm, there's cool, there's neutral, and there's olive. For example, I have a very neutral undertone. People with olive undertones, not very common in this part of the world. I live in Nigeria, in Africa, and I'll kind of explain that much later. But there are four main undertones, and I'm going to explain them really, really quickly. I don't want to spend a lot of time. So first, neutral undertone. Like when your undertone is neutral, you're just kind of in the middle. It's just like the perfect sweet spot between cool and warm. Gold and silver jewelry also looks very, very good on you. You don't look bad, or you don't feel personally that, oh, this doesn't really look nice against my skin. When it comes to gold and silver jewelry, they both look good on you. When you have a neutral undertone, your skin color is also true to tone. So that means that what you see basically is what you get, and depending on lighting or what you're wearing or certain fabrics and all of that, your skin does not start looking something that is slightly different than what it looks like under bright natural light. I hope that this makes sense. Your skin is just true to tone. Okay, next is cool undertone. If your undertone is cool, then silver jewelry tends to look so good on you, so much better on you than gold jewelry does. Okay, when you also look at your arm or parts of your body where your veins are very visible, you will see that you have predominantly blue veins. If that is the case for you, then you are most likely someone with a cool undertone. When you're also shopping for foundation and you go to websites and all of that, and they're describing shades that you've been matched with, you see words like cool, you see words like pink, you see words like red. These colors are normally used to describe foundation shades or concealer shades that have a cool, or that are made for people with cool undertone. Next, warm undertone. When you look at parts of your body where your veins are very visible and you see predominantly green veins, then you have warm undertone. Gold jewelry also looks way better on you than silver jewelry does. When you go to a website or any place where your foundation shade has been described with text, you will mostly see words like yellow, you would see gold, you would see warm. These are all like words that are typically used to describe complexion products for people who have warm undertone. Last, olive undertone. This undertone is very, very common for people from the Middle East, people from Asia. It's not like as a black person or a Caucasian you cannot have olive undertone. It's just more common for or with or in people from that region. Okay, silver and gold jewelry also tend to look good on people with this undertone. If you also look at the parts of your body where your veins are visible and they're really neither blue or green, it's also very, very common with olive undertone. However, certain colors can just make you look ashy, like very, very ashy, down to the things that you wear, even like lip colors that you decide to use. Like it's very quickly, you would know that there's something really off. This does not really go well with my undertone, like it doesn't go well with my skin. And sometimes you're not even sure why. It's just because certain colors just look off. Okay, sometimes it could even be as simple as a lipstick that every other person is wearing without issues. When you wear it, you see that there's just a clash. You can even see that you look a bit ashy. So this is just all the undertones briefly explained. Once you figure out your undertone, the next thing to do is to figure out your skin type. Very, very important, because the type of skin you have can affect the way that foundation or complexion products last, wear, perform, everything on your skin. And when you know what your skin type is, you're also able to make more informed decisions when it comes to buying complexion products. So for example, if you have oily skin, which is the first skin type that I'm going to be talking about, your skin is oily, you wake up with skin that looks oily, feels oily. If you use foundation or any type of complexion products, you give it some hours, you see that one of your big complaints or big issues is that foundation just begins to slide off or break apart, and you have all these creases or sometimes patches, does not last at all. Like, just it feels like your makeup is sliding off, and it's because your skin naturally produces oil. If you have this skin type, it's very, very important that you look out for foundations that are oil free, that are not targeted at people with normal or dry skin. The second skin type that I'll be talking about is normal. If you have normal skin, it's low-key kind of, I would say, the equivalent of having like a neutral undertone. So you're right in the middle. Everything is balanced. Your skin is not dry, it's not oily. You don't wake up in the morning feeling like your skin is a little bit off. However, it's important that you know, because if you have normal skin and you go buy foundations that are targeted at people with oily skin sometimes, which are normally oil free and can be a bit mattifying, they can actually make your skin look dry because there's nothing for it to compensate for. So if you go get something that is mattifying, like, it might just make your skin look dry because your skin is actually not looking for something that would help it control oil, I would say, if that makes sense. So it's good that you know if your skin is normal or not. Third skin type is dry skin. If your skin is dry, you probably wake up in the morning with skin that looks a bit dull, like that looks a bit dry. You are just eager to do something to kind of plump things up and look more like hydrated, get more supple looking skin. It's something that you probably wake up feeling like your skin needs. For example, you don't want to have dry skin and you're going to go buy a mattifying foundation. You don't need that. It's just going to make your skin look worse and even much drier than it already is. A lot of makeup brands cater to this specific skin type. The formula you get with foundation for people with dry skin is always hydrating, has some acids in it to help with moisture and all of that. So it's important that you know, okay? If you have combination skin, which is when the skin around your face is maybe dry or normal, like at the edges of your face, but when it comes to your T-zone, you're very oily. So your forehead, down the bridge of your nose, your chin, and under your immediate eye area, you see that you produce oil in those areas. It's important that you know. So when you know this, you're also able to make more informed decisions when it comes to complexion products. People with combination skin and oily skin, you can actually use most of the time the same foundation formulas. Like, whatever is targeted at people with oily skin most of the time kind of works for people with combination skin. They love it. And in most cases, I've seen that people with normal skin also really love foundations or just products that are targeted at people with dry skin as well. And it's important that you know, because if you're someone who's very oily, for example, foundation can oxidize faster on your skin than it does for someone with normal to dry skin. And when foundation oxidizes, like, the color can change drastically depending on brand. So you need to know. And when you know these things, it just helps you. Once you've figured out your skin type and you know your undertone, it's time to swatch. Please, when you are trying to swatch, I normally like swatch different shades. So I might swatch something very light, I'll swatch something a bit darker, I'll swatch something much darker, and then I'll swatch something that I kind of think is as close to my skin tone as possible. And then when I blend that in, I like to look at the others for contrast and just see. As you guys are seeing in this clip that I'm showing here, it's very important that you do this like this. And then when you've swatched, I'm also not swatching, or I've also not swatched to see how these things blend into my neck, because the goal is not to match your complexion product or foundation to your neck. The goal is actually to match it to your chest. When your foundation matches your chest, it gives a more natural, realistic looking finish, as opposed to, let's say, your neck is slightly darker, and that can be the case for a lot of people. For example, in Nigeria here, it's so hot and humid, and sometimes you see people who have necks that are just darker than their chest area and their face. There's also this thing where people just slather sunscreen on their face and their chest and they forget their necks. So most times you see that people can actually have darker necks than their face and chest, please match your foundation to your chest. Because if you just match it to a darker neck, for example, you look like you're wearing a mask. You don't want that, okay? The first thing is to make sure that it matches your chest. The second thing is to make sure that whatever shade you go with blends into your hairline seamlessly. Like, I feel like that is also one of the very best ways to know. The worst thing you want to do is like, and most of the time when the foundation is too light, you can tell because there's an obvious demarcation. If it doesn't, your hairline, the areas of your face where you have hair, make sure that when you're looking at the foundation blended in, it's like there is no obvious demarcation. Also, one thing I also like to do to take this a step further is make sure that the foundation or complexion products blends into your hairline well, and also make sure that it blends out, it matches your ears. You don't want it to look like your ears and your face, they belong to two different people. I feel like that's also a very easy way to know that something is off. If the foundation is way lighter than your ear, then it's a problem. If it's way darker than your ear, then it's also a problem. So think of that, keep that in mind when you're matching yourself or when you're getting matched at a store. An ideal scenario will always be for you when the foundation is not too light or too dark. That's the ideal outcome. But I would say in a situation, let's say you really want to try a foundation or you feel like it really works for your skin type, but maybe the brand, although I want to believe that not a lot of people are doing better in 2024. But let's just say that there's this foundation formula that you want to try because you feel like it holds up well with your skin tone, but then the closest thing, or there's like you feel like you're in between two shades, go with the darker shade, I would say, because you can always fix and adjust things with highlight and contour, as opposed to going with a much lighter shade. It becomes very difficult to control the overall end result. So to get yourself matched, my number one recommendation all the time, forever and ever, would be to go to a store and actually get samples and get matched. But I'm also not going to talk like I don't know that I live in Nigeria. We don't have Sephora's, and a lot of the big brands like are not here. And yes, you would get matched when you go to the mall, but then that's not an option that is accessible to a lot of people. If this is the case for you, okay, or let us even say it is a drugstore brand that the brand does not quite have a presence here, but you don't mind purchasing it from outside the country or something, but you're just curious to see what your shade will be. One good alternative or one way to do this and ensure that you don't buy something that is too far off or wrong is to use this website called Foundation.com. I've been using it for years. I did a video on this topic a while back and I recommended this same website. I'm recommending it again and it's going to be in the description box. This website just basically helps you find your foundation match for any brand that you key in, and it does this by using shades that you already provide from other brands. So let's say I want to try a new foundation from Fenty Beauty, but then I have like a foundation from MAC that matches me really well, and another from Estee Lauder that matches me very well, or another from Maybelline that matches me really well. All I have to do is to go to the website and give or just impute all my shades in these other brands that I've mentioned, and then select the brands that I am after or the products that I'm after, like my shade in. It takes all those entries, analyzes it, and tells you, going by these things that you've given to us for this particular brand and for this particular range, this is your shade. Very easy. If access is not a problem and you have so many makeup counters or stores that you could go to get yourself matched, these are the things that I would now highly recommend. Please make sure that you always confirm whatever shade you've been given under natural light. I feel like the lighting you get in stores sometimes can be just a bit shady, okay? Looks really good. For reasons that I don't know, up until now, I don't know. Looks really good, but then when you go outside, there's a difference. So make sure that you actually confirm that shade under natural lights. And I think that this is important because people actually see you with makeup on under natural lights than any other light. You commute to work, you go to places, you come out of the car, you walk into a building, that is all natural light, okay? You're not walking under light bulbs throughout you just wearing that particular shade. So always go out to confirm. It's very, very important. And I'll even take it a step further and say, ask them for a sample. Depending on where you live, just ask for a sample and say, oh, I'd really like to try this out for a little bit to see if I can decide. A lot of makeup counters don't have a problem outside of Nigeria giving you a sample to try out. So not only do I recommend that you check and try this foundation out under natural light, I also highly recommend that you also wear it for at least 2 to 3 to 4 hours. Okay, I'd say 4 hours max. Like what I would do, or how I do it, is if I'm going to run an errand or a bunch of errands, right, I will go and get this foundation applied on my face first, right, and then I'll proceed to do other things. And by the end of those other things, I come back and I look at how the foundation actually wore on my skin. The reason why this is so important is because of oxidation as well. Makeup can oxidize, and this happens when air hits it. So go outside. 1, give it some hours. 2, it will really tell you, because some of us have also had this experience where, okay, the foundation looked good in store, on that store lighting fine. We went outside, it looked good immediately afterwards, and we ran back inside to buy it, right? But then when you buy the full bottle, you realize that when you wear this foundation, 4 hours later, it goes 2 to 3 shades darker than the actual shade that it's supposed to be. So this can be an issue. It's important to wear it for some time and also observe it under natural light. So the last thing I would say is that I know that a lot is said about like fixing, because sometimes you also go to the counter, and when I feel like the brands don't have something that is quite your shade, they begin to give you all these other options or try to tell you, oh, when you use this concealer, it could balance it out, and you contour this way and you highlight this way. And these are all good recommendations, like, but I want you to also understand that they're trying to sell something to you at the end of the day, and that's key. Know that they're trying to sell something to you and make an informed decision based on that. The goal for you should be that no matter how dark your contour is, and no matter how light or not light your concealer is, that at the end of the day, you have a base that is just true to what it should be. Like, that should not be your first choice, to buy something that you begin to fix with concealers. No, your exact shade should come, or something that is your ideal shade is something that you really don't need to compensate for or with or whatever, with concealers that are 3-4 shades lighter or darker. No matter how you conceal or highlight or contour, the most important thing is that this foundation works for as a base, or serves as a good base for whatever you want to do. I think that that's very important. So I'll repeat that. It's important that whatever foundation that you go with serves as a good base, okay, for whatever highlight or contour product or shade you decide to go with, okay? I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that you found it helpful. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not yet subscribed. All the extra information or assets or important things that you guys would need will be in the description box. But give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next Wednesday with another beauty video. Bye guys.